I really want a cat. I just don't think it's feasible for me at this time. I feel like I can't be the only person who played Pokemon Scarlet and Violet and thought, Pokemon is starting to get a little silly goofy. It's starting to get a little bit different. Things are changing. I tried doing research for this video, but Googling mature content in Pokemon takes you to like the dumbest pee pee poo poo listicles that a tween who's been socialized to think that bodies are inherently bad would find funny. Like the same person who just thinks uttering the word breasts is a joke. Like that's the level of what I was finding. I was not getting what I was looking for. Alternatively, searching for articles or academic studies just to see if anybody has an opinion or theory on the growing phenomenon of fan-created content and general trends in adult spaces that transform a work into something else, manage to create this sort of feedback loop that ends up influencing the creators of the actual work. You might be asking yourself, what's the point of this video? Thank you so much for your question. It is so important to ask questions. I'm having that question myself. If you think that Pokemon has had this appeal since the beginning, you're absolutely correct. Like in Gen 1, Lieutenant Surge is hot. Anime Giovanni is so hot and also is like naked a surprising amount of the time. Machoke is just a hot gray guy with a lizard head. Bruno, Lorelai, Lance, the three younger members of the Elite Four are all like hot adults. And then like Agatha, we know she was getting it back in the day with Professor Oak. Overall, I think the difference in appeal with these characters largely has to do with like the 2D, 3D split. I think it's a lot harder to look at Bloxy? I'm Bloxy Andrews and I'm here to make it clear. I think it's harder to look at blocky sprites and think, wow, I am feeling something in my heart right now, versus fully 3D rendered models. Like Bruno Gen 1, you can barely tell what's happening, and then you look at Mr. Saguaro from Gen 9, and he was the muse for Siz's Big Boy. I don't know if you guys knew that. That is factual and true. I do think as the generations of Pokemon went on, gradual changes did start to occur. With Gen 3 came Gardevoir, and that was like really a cultural reset. In spite of the fact that Gardevoir is like a stick figure in a dress, that's neither here nor there. Gen 4 brought Lopunny, which is literally based on a Playboy bunny, and then like Lucario is perfect for the furries. Gen 5, Zoroark does the same thing. All of these little tectonic shifts in the kingdom came to a head with the new era of Pokemon. Gen 6 is when I think the pendulum swung past a certain threshold. It's full 3D. We have the first male professor who's like presented as traditionally attractive. Professor Juniper is also gorgeous, but I remember more of the hubbub being about the fact that she's the first female professor that the franchise has had. But at this point I feel like we're all cognizant of the fact that like the baseline for what's acceptable for a woman is different than for a man. My core audience is made up of adults. I feel like I shouldn't have to explain that. Pokemon X and Y came out in 2013. So it's reasonable in my mind to believe that the people who are playing Pokemon since day one, when that game came out in 1998, I'm going to say the youngest person playing that was 4 years old, just based on like a reading level. But by the time X and Y came out, that audience would be like 19 or older. But they're also probably chronically online and horny. Sycamore is younger compared to the other professors, thin, stylish, probably rich. He has that energy, and he's like showing a little bit of skin. More importantly, this is the first generation to have all humanoid final evolutions for the starters. Delphox, and by extension Braixen, are the important ones. This persisted until Gen 9, but we'll get there when we get there. Professors and starters are all over Pokemon's marketing. Also, the evil team, people like Lysander a lot. I would assume the developers, especially in the shift to 3D, thought, oh, we have more details, let's include more characterizing aspects. So there's an inadvertent appeal that they tapped into, especially because these characters are fully rendered 3D models and they're better looking than a sprite. That feels odd to say. It's also worth noting that Gen 3 had Archie, who I feel like for that gen is like already comparatively quite hot. But in the remakes, Archie's in a full wetsuit now and he has two hottie boom body goons. We know now, if someone in Pokemon is wearing something skin tight, it's done. If someone in Pokemon is wearing like a bra for a shirt, it's a done deal. The audience is in love. Speaking of tropical climates, in Gen 7, the professor is even younger and hotter. And he has a hot wife, and Incineroar and Primarina, in a way, have mass appeal, especially because they both have some gender characteristics at play. Lusamine, hot. Plumeria, hot. Guzma, hot. Hala, Olivia, Nanu, Wick. Here, in my opinion, Game Freak is really starting to do this on purpose. Now, I'm a little bit older. I'm a little bit wiser. And with my critical thinking ability, I'm hyper conscious of everything that's being marketed towards me. So I can start looking at the way that they're designing characters and see what itches they're trying to scratch. Like, I played Fire Red and Leaf Green, and I don't think those are like hot games. I'm not like, wow, all the NPCs are so good looking. A lot of them are thin and attractive, but I think that's just, a reflection of what we think beauty looks like. Also, like, the most risque reference I could find was like a couple who use an onyx and a cloister as their Pokemon, and it's supposed to be some kind of euphemism. But now I'm starting to think that they're making more of the characters with niche audiences in mind. In Gen 8, this marketing tactic only becomes more apparent because each starter is really humanoid enough to the point that drawing them as they are is easier. They're already fitting existing conventions. One's a top, one's a bottom, one's verse. The professor isn't hot because old people are so gross, but thank God she has like a hot granddaughter with a BBL to guide the player along their way. I feel like Leon and Rayhan, I'm realizing in this moment that I've never thought of how to pronounce that name, and I've never said it out loud. Those two, I feel like together and separate, I feel like have paid the mortgage on several artists' homes. Milo's a himbo, Nessa's hot supermodel swimmer, Kabu is daddy, Chairman Rose's dad bod. Oleana is serving so hard. Melody follows in Wick's footsteps. She's a lady who loves a sensible sweater. I'm sure Pierce is for someone. Ball Guy is for the helmet people. I haven't even talked about the NPCs. Should I cover the evolution of Pokemon NPCs? Not in this format, more so in like a design and like mechanics trend kind of style. I'm positing that here. It's a little niche, but I don't know, it could be interesting. That brings us to Gen 9, which was the inspo for this video. The internet was really well fed with some of the reveal trailers that we got. The box art legendaries to me are a cross between Scalies and like the anthropomorphic airplane trend. Google at your own risk, especially because they're humanoid vaguely and they have My Little Pony heads. I just feel like they have the perfect cartoon face for people looking in that category. I love Meowscarada, but that little weed cat became bipedal for a reason. Quackavall, better walk that fucking duck. When the region's professors were revealed, Twitter was ablaze. Redditors were sailing through a storm. It was just too much. New mommy and daddy have entered the arena. Skin tight suit, woman in bra. She's showing midriff, alert the press. I didn't see as many people get excited for the gym leaders, except Larry, which was unexpected for me. But go off, I guess. Sure, he's a businessman. He loves to eat. Aside from the gym leaders, all of the school faculty are hot. Saguaro, is that how you pronounce it? If I'm wrong, leave a like and subscribe. Saguaro is thick with 80 million C's. He's also a really great blend of like gruff exterior, really soft insides. Oh, sometimes you accidentally possibly euphemism and it's too much. He has a soft personality, a soft demeanor is what I mean to say. And I feel like that juxtaposition gets a lot of the people who like men. Miriam is infantilized in the way that she's like stupid and clumsy, which the straight men love. Also, some people felt that she like vaguely tries to flirt with the protagonist. I didn't really read those interactions that way when I was playing, but I feel like if a lot of people are feeling the same way, it's a result of something. Dendra has a line where she says her and Tulip have been friends forever and they made a bet once and Dendra lost and she's about to tell you what the punishment was and then she like trails off. But I know I'm not the only person who holds the opinion that they are more than just friends. It's one of those examples that's like vague enough that it's gonna go over a child's head, but then it begs into question, why does it have to be vague at all? Like, what am I supposed to be contemplating? Also, there are so many buff men and women across the region. I saw the hiker and I was like, oh my god, a queen of fitness. Those straps are doing a lot. For some odd reason, I ended up not writing or filming a conclusion and decided it wasn't a problem, I guess. So there's no resolution. I just moved on to the ending. I think the answer to the stupid question that I posited at the beginning is that Pokemon always contained innuendo. It's always been here, but I do think as times change and discussions evolve, it's just going to get thoughtier and thoughtier as we go. And it's on purpose. I kind of don't know how to wrap this one up. I feel like the answer to my question is that Pokemon is just growing with its audience. Do you think in the DLC for Scarlet and Violet we're going to get more thoughty characters? Like, do you think we're going to get a Peony, who a lot of people think is like the only confirmed gay character in all of Pokemon, and he's like a hot dad. Are you upset that I didn't bring up some heavy hitters like Karen, Dahlia? I feel like there are some other Hoenn characters in there that I didn't think of. If you enjoyed this video, I'm not going to say it. You know what to do. Please consider supporting the channel. It is free, and it sends a huge rush of serotonin straight to my silly little brain. You know, it's starting to get warmer out. Drink lots of water. Maybe take a nice little walk. Bask in the sun. Get the vitamin D. Not a euphemism. Get your mind out of the gutter. This video is stupid, and it's mostly just a distraction video because I'm working on The Last of Us 1, and that'll be out soon, but I just really needed a break from thinking about death for hours at a time.